I lunged, my claws aimed for the throat of the man who had taken everything from me. The forest exploded in a cacophony of snarls and snapping branches, the silver of the full moon glinting off the fangs of a dozen wolves. My target Reed twisted, his own claws raking across my ribs, sending a spray of hot blood into the freezing air. I didn't feel the pain. I only felt the primal need to end him, to protect the two small figures cowering behind a fallen log. His yellow eyes met mine, a cruel smile twisting his muzzle. "You should have run faster, Omega," he snarled, his voice a guttural rasp. I drove forward, my entire being focused on that one final blow when a deafening roar split the night, a presence so powerful it made the very earth tremble. Gavin! He was here, but so was the truth I had buried for 7 years, and one of us wasn't walking away, but I'm getting ahead of myself. It didn't start with blood. It started with a pair of tiny, impossible heartbeats I felt against my own chest and the desperate, silent prayer that their father would never find us. Where are you reading from, Pack? Drop your location in the comments and hit that subscribe button. The full moon is rising and this story is just beginning. The scent of pine and wet earth filled my lungs as I pressed my back against the rough bark of the ancient oak. My heart hammered a frantic rhythm against my ribs, a wild drumbeat that echoed the chase I could feel closing in on me. The pack was hunting, and I was their prey. I had been on the run for 3 days, ever since I'd seen the betrayal in Gavin's eyes, a betrayal that had nothing to do with me and everything to do with his brother, Reed. Reed had framed me for stealing the Moonstone, an ancient relic that bound our pack's power. The evidence was planted, the whispers were poison, and Gavin, my alpha, my mate, had looked at me like I was a stranger. He had ordered my exile, his voice cold and final, severing the bond between us with a single, brutal command. But he didn't know. He couldn't know that I wasn't just running for my own life. I was running for the two lives growing inside me, his children, our twins. A twig snapped to my left too close. I held my breath, my wolf senses straining. The footsteps were heavy, deliberate. Reed, I knew his gait, the arrogant weight of his stride. He was the first to volunteer for the hunt, the first to relish in my suffering. "Come out, Maria," his voice slithered through the trees, smooth as venom. "You know you can't outrun the entire Crescent Moon pack. Gavin's given the order. You're to be brought back, dead or alive." I didn't move. I couldn't. My belly was still flat, the twins barely a whisper of cells, but I could feel them, a fierce, protective energy anchoring me to this world. I had to survive for them. Another snap, this one from behind me. I whirled, my claws extending, but it was just a startled deer bounding away into the darkness. The distraction was all I needed. I pushed off the tree, my body low to the ground, and ran. I didn't shift. The change would drain me, leave me too weak to continue the flight. I ran on two legs, my feet finding the familiar, hidden paths I had memorized as a child, before I had been marked as an Omega, the lowest rank in the pack. The forest blurred around me. I vaulted over a fallen log, ducked under a low-hanging branch, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I could hear them now, the pack closing in, a symphony of growls and howls. They were hurting me. I burst into a small clearing and my heart stopped. Gavin stood in the center, his massive black wolf form silhouetted against the rising moon. He was magnificent, terrible, the alpha in his full glory. His golden eyes, usually warm with a hidden tenderness he showed only to me, were now cold, hard, and filled with a duty he was forced to fulfill. He didn't attack, he just stood there blocking my path, a silent command. I stopped, my chest heaving. "Gavin, please," I whispered, the words a broken plea. "You have to believe me." I didn't take the stone. A low growl rumbled from his chest. He didn't shift back. He didn't speak. The silence was worse than any accusation. Behind me, I heard the pack emerge from the trees. Reed's voice was the first to cut through the quiet. "She's cornered, Alpha. Finish it." Gavin took a step forward, his massive head lowering. I braced myself for the attack, for the claws and fangs of the man I loved. But instead, he nudged my hand with his nose, a gesture so familiar, so intimate, it shattered me. For a single, heart-stopping second, I saw a flicker of the old Gavin in his eyes, the one who had promised me a future. Then a new scent hit me, blood. It was on his breath, on his fur. He was injured. Reed had hurt him. The betrayal wasn't just mine. In that moment of distraction, Reed lunged. He wasn't aiming for Gavin. He was aiming for me. His claws raked across my back, sending a searing pain down my spine. I screamed, stumbling forward directly into Gavin's chest. The world went red. Gavin's growl turned into a roar of pure rage. He turned on his brother, a blur of black fury. The two wolves clashed, a maelstrom of teeth and fury, while I lay bleeding on the cold ground. I pressed my hand to my stomach, feeling the faint, fluttering pulse of my children. Run, a voice whispered in my mind. It was my wolf, the part of me I had tried to suppress. Run now, or they will never be born. I looked up. Gavin was winning, his weight pinning Reed to the ground, but his eyes were locked on me, a silent message passing between us. Go, he was letting me go. I didn't hesitate. I scrambled to my feet, clutching my bleeding side, and disappeared into the darkness of the forest, leaving behind the only man I had ever loved and the pack that had called me a traitor. I ran until my legs gave out, until the sounds of the fight were swallowed by the wind, until I collapsed in a hollowed-out log, shivering and alone, the only sound in the world the frantic beat of 3 hearts. 7 years, I didn't know it then, but that was how long I would hide. That was how long it would take for the truth to find us. And when it did, it would come with claws bared and a revelation that would tear the world apart. The hollow log held me like a grave, and I thought I would die there. The scent of my own blood mixed with the rot of wood and earth, and somewhere above me, through the crack in the bark, I could see the moon beginning to rise. My hand pressed against my belly, where 2 tiny heartbeats fluttered beneath my ribs like trapped birds. I cannot die here. The thought was sharp, cutting through the fog of pain. I forced my eyes open. The wound in my side had stopped bleeding, but the flesh was torn deep. Reed's claws had raked across my ribs, and if I shifted, the wounds would close faster, but I didn't have the strength. Not yet. I listened. The forest was silent now. No howls, no crashing through underbrush. Gavin had held them back. I didn't know why. He had exiled me, called me a thief, let Reed poison the pack against me. And yet when Reed's claws had been at my throat, Gavin had thrown himself between us. Why? I pushed the question away. It didn't matter now. What mattered was the life growing inside me. His life, our children. I crawled out of the log on my hands and knees, gasping as the movement pulled at my wound. The forest floor was cold and damp, and I pressed my palm into the dirt, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath me. I was still in crescent moon territory. I had to cross the border before dawn. The border was 3 miles east, where the ancient pines gave way to the rocky ridge that marked the edge of pack lands. Beyond that was rogue territory, dangerous, lawless, but free. I could disappear there. I could raise my pups in secret. But first, I had to survive the night. I staggered through the trees, one hand pressed to my side, the other outstretched to steady myself against the bark. Every step sent fire through my ribs. I bit my tongue to keep from whimpering. Sound carried in the forest, and Reed's hunters would be circling back. Gavin couldn't hold them forever. The moon climbed higher, silver and cold. I could feel the pull of it in my blood, the wolf beneath my skin stirring, wanting to break free. But I couldn't shift, not yet. The shift would heal me, but it would also leave me weak and disoriented, and the pups couldn't survive the transformation. Not at this stage. I had to stay human. I had to keep them safe. I don't know how long I walked. Time lost meaning in the dark, each step a battle, each breath a prayer. The trees began to thin, and I saw the ridge ahead, a dark spine against the star-scattered sky. The border, I was almost there. And then I heard the growls. I froze, my heart slammed against my ribs. The sound came from my left, low and rumbling, and I turned my head slowly, my vision swimming with exhaustion. A wolf stepped out of the shadows. Large, gray-coated, eyes burning amber. I knew that wolf. I had seen him at Reed's side 100 times. Marcus, one of the pack's enforcers. Maria, his voice was a growl, half human, half beast. Beta Reed wants you alive, but he didn't say in one piece. I backed away, my feet stumbling over roots. Marcus, please, I didn't steal the moonstone. You know I didn't. I know Reed is my beta, he said, and there was no mercy in his voice. And I know you're a rogue now. He lunged. I threw myself sideways, crashing into a bush, and his jaws snapped shut where my throat had been. I scrambled to my feet, my wound screaming, and ran. I ran toward the ridge, toward the border, toward anything that wasn't this. Marcus was faster. He hit me from behind, his paws slamming into my shoulders, and I went down hard, my face grinding into the dirt. His weight pinned me, his breath hot on my neck. Should have stayed in your hollow log, Omega, he snarled. I screamed, not in fear, but in rage. I bucked and twisted, and my hand found a rock. I swung it backward, catching him in the skull. He yelped, his grip loosening, and I scrambled free. I didn't look back. I ran until my lungs burned, until my legs gave out, until I collapsed at the base of the ridge. The border was 20 feet above me, a steep climb up loose rock and crumbling earth. I started to climb. The rocks cut my hands, my wound wept blood. I could hear Marcus howling behind me, calling the others. But I kept climbing. I thought of the twins. I thought of their tiny heartbeats. I thought of the life I would give them, even if it cost me my own. My fingers found the top of the ridge. I pulled myself over, gasping, and rolled onto the grass beyond. The border, I had crossed it. I lay there staring up at the stars, and I let myself cry, just for a moment, just until the tears dried on my cheeks. Then I got up and kept walking. 7 years later, I stood at the window of our small cabin, watching the sun set over the valley. The mountains stretched out before me, wild and untamed, and I felt the familiar pull of the moon in my veins. Tonight was the blood moon. The night when the veil between worlds was thinnest, when wolves ran wildest, when secrets had a way of clawing their way to the surface. Mama, look. I turned. Lily was standing in the doorway, her dark curls tangled, her gray eyes bright with excitement. She held up a drawing, a crude sketch of a wolf with 3 pups beneath a crescent moon. "It's us," she said, "you, me, and Leo." My heart ached. She looked so much like him, like Gavin, the same stubborn chin, the same way of tilting her head when she was thinking. "It's beautiful, sweetheart." I knelt down and pulled her into a hug. "Where's your brother?" "Outside. He's trying to catch a rabbit again." I smiled. Leo had his father's hunting instincts and his temper and his protective streak. At 6 years old, he already acted like the alpha of our little pack of 3. I walked to the door and stepped outside. The air was cool and sharp, carrying the scent of pine and snow from the distant peaks. Leo was crouched in the tall grass, his small body perfectly still, his eyes fixed on a rabbit that was nibbling clover 20 feet away. "Don't move," I whispered. He didn't. He waited, patient as a stone, until the rabbit hopped closer. Then he pounced. He missed, of course. The rabbit darted away and Leo landed face first in the grass, spitting out dirt. He sat up, grinning. "Almost got it. Almost," I said, laughing. "Come inside, it's getting dark." The twins ate their dinner in a flurry of chatter, their voices filling the small cabin with warmth. I watched them, and for a moment I let myself believe that we were safe, that the past was buried, that Reed had forgotten about me. But I knew better. The blood moon was rising. I could feel it in my bones, in the restless energy that hummed beneath my skin. The wolf inside me stirred, wanting to run, wanting to hunt. But I had suppressed my wolf for 7 years, keeping it locked away so I wouldn't shift. So I wouldn't leave a scent trail, so I wouldn't be found. Tonight, the moon was calling. After the twins were asleep, I sat by the fire, staring at the flames. My hand drifted to my side, where the scars from Reed's claws still marked my skin. 7 years, and the memory of that night was as fresh as yesterday. I should have known it wouldn't last. The knock came at midnight. I froze. No one knocked on my door. No one knew where I lived. I had chosen this valley for its isolation, for its distance from pack lands and rogue territories alike. The knock came again, harder. I rose slowly, my heart pounding. I grabbed the knife from the table, the one I kept sharpened for game, and crept to the door. "Who's there?" Silence, then a voice low and familiar, a voice I had not heard in 7 years. "Maria, open the door. Gavin." The knife trembled in my hand, my breath caught in my throat. I pressed my eye to the crack in the door, and I saw him, older, harder, a scar running down his cheek that hadn't been there before. He was alone. His eyes were dark, hollow, and he looked at the door as if he could see through it. "Please," he said, "I need to see you." I opened the door. He stepped inside, and the cabin suddenly felt too small. He was bigger than I remembered, broader, his presence filling the room. He looked around, taking in the twin beds in the corner, the small toys scattered on the floor, the drawings pinned to the wall. His eyes landed on the drawing Lily had made, the wolf with 3 pups beneath the crescent moon. "Maria," he whispered, "whose children are these?" I said nothing. I couldn't. The truth was a weight in my chest, too heavy to lift. He turned to face me, and I saw the pain in his eyes, the guilt, the desperation. "I know," he said, "I know Reed framed you. I found the moonstone in his quarters. I know what he did, what I did." His voice broke. "I exiled you, I let you run, and I've been looking for you ever since." I shook my head. You should go, Gavin. You shouldn't be here. I'm not going anywhere. He stepped closer and I backed away until I hit the wall. I came to bring you home to fix what I broke. You can't fix it. My voice was barely a whisper. You can't fix 7 years. I can try. He reached out, his hand hovering near my face, not quite touching. Let me try. Behind me, I heard a small voice. Mama. I turned. Lily was standing in the doorway of the bedroom, her gray eyes wide, staring at the stranger in our home. Leo was behind her, his small fists clenched, his face set in a scowl. Who's that? Leo demanded. Gavin stared at them. I saw the recognition dawn in his eyes, the same gray eyes, the same stubborn chin, the same way of tilting their heads. Maria, he breathed. Are they? The door exploded inward. Reed stood in the doorway, flanked by half a dozen wolves, his eyes gleaming with triumph. He looked at Gavin, at the twins, at me, and he smiled. Well, well, he said, isn't this a happy reunion? The door crashed open and Reed stood there, moonlight bleeding around his silhouette like a wound in the night sky. Behind him, 6 wolves with glowing eyes and bared fangs. Behind them, the blood moon hung swollen and red, a celestial eye watching our destruction unfold. I stepped backward, my body moving on instinct, placing myself between the door and the hallway where Lily and Leo slept. My hands trembled, but my voice came out steady. Get out of my home. Gavin turned, his massive frame blocking Reed's path. Brother, this ends now. Brother, Reed laughed, and the sound was jagged, broken glass. You exiled your mate on my word. You didn't even search for the truth until 7 years too late, and now you stand in her doorway playing hero. He stepped inside, his boots heavy on the wooden floor. I brought witnesses. The pack needs to see what their alpha's mate has been hiding. I felt the growl building in my chest, low and dangerous. 7 years of silence. 7 years of suppressing my wolf, keeping her locked away so she wouldn't leave a scent trail so my pups could grow up safe. But the blood moon was calling to her, pulling at the chains I'd wrapped around her spirit. Lily, Leo. I whispered their names like a prayer. Stay in your room. Don't come out until Mama says. From the hallway, I heard Leo's small voice. Mama, who's here? Stay, my brave boy. Protect your sister. Gavin's eyes met mine, and I saw something I hadn't seen in 7 years, desperation. He was calculating, measuring the distance between himself and the wolves at the door, between his brother's betrayal and the family he'd just discovered. Reed, Gavin said, his voice dropping to the alpha's command tone, I am giving you one chance. Call off your wolves. Surrender yourself to pack justice. I will be merciful. Merciful? Reed's smile was a knife. I don't need your mercy, brother. I have 6 wolves. You have yourself and a rogue Omega who can't even shift. He gestured to me, and the wolves behind him snarled in agreement. The pack will see that their alpha has been compromised, that he let his mate escape justice, that he fathered pups in secret, She didn't escape justice. Gavin's voice cut through the air like steel. She escaped your injustice. I found the moonstone, Reed, in your quarters, hidden behind the loose stone in your fireplace where you've kept it for 7 years. The wolves behind Reed shifted, their glowing eyes flickering uncertainty. Reed's smile faltered. You're lying. I'm not. Gavin reached into his jacket and pulled out a small pouch. He tossed it to the floor, and the moonstone rolled out, a crystal of deep blue, pulsing with faint light, the stone that had been stolen from the pack treasury. The stone Reed had accused me of taking, the stone that had cost me everything. The wolves stared at it. One of them, a gray-furred male, whined low in his throat. This changes nothing, Reed snarled, but his voice cracked. She's still a rogue, she still abandoned the pack, she was pregnant. I spoke for the first time, my voice clear and cold. I was carrying the alpha's pups, and you knew it. You attacked me anyway. You would have killed me and my unborn children to cover your theft. The gray wolf's ears flattened. Another wolf, a female with silver markings, took a step back from Reed. Don't listen to her, Reed snapped. She's lying, she's always been lying. She's not. Gavin moved to stand beside me, his shoulder brushing mine. The touch sent a shock through my body. 7 years of emptiness, 7 years of longing, all collapsing into a single point of contact. I felt the bond break when she crossed the border. I felt her pain. I searched for her every night for 2 years before I accepted that she'd vanished, and I never stopped looking. I wanted to hate him. I wanted to push him away, to remind him of the night he'd stood in the clearing and watched Reed drag me into the forest. but the blood moon was rising, and my wolf was stirring, and I could feel his warmth like a fire I'd forgotten existed. From the hallway, I heard footsteps, small, light, determined. Mama, Lily's voice. She appeared in the doorway, her dark curls tangled from sleep, her gray eyes wide and unafraid. She was holding her stuffed rabbit by one ear. There are wolves in our yard. Behind her, Leo emerged, a wooden stick clutched in his small hand. His chin was set, stubborn and fierce, and his gray eyes, Gavin's eyes, locked onto the wolves with a hunter's focus. Leo, Lily, go back to your room, I said, but my voice was shaking now. No, Mama. Leo stepped forward, positioning himself in front of his sister. I protect you, I protect Lily. Gavin made a sound, a choked, broken noise that I'd never heard from an alpha before. He stared at his son, at the boy who looked like every portrait of Gavin at that age, and I saw tears glistening in his eyes. Reed, the gray wolf, said, his voice low, is this true? Did you frame the alpha's mate? Did you steal the moonstone? Reed's face twisted. It doesn't matter what's true. What matters is what the pack believes. And when I tell them that their alpha has been hiding rogue pups, that he's been conspiring with an exile, then I'll tell them the truth. Gavin's voice was iron. I'll tell them everything, the moonstone, the attack, the 7 years you let me believe my mate was a thief while she was raising my children alone in the wilderness. The silver-furred female wolf stepped forward. Alpha Gavin, we followed Reed because he said you were in danger. He said rogues had attacked you, that you'd been compromised. I have been compromised, Gavin said quietly, by my own brother's betrayal, but I am not in danger, not from her. He looked at me and his voice softened. Maria, I know I don't deserve your trust. I know I failed you. But I am asking you, let me bring you home. Let me fix this. Fix this? I laughed and the sound was bitter, hollow. You can't fix 7 years, Gavin. You can't fix the nights I spent bleeding in the forest, or the days I went hungry so my pups could eat, or the fear I've lived with every moment since I crossed that ridge. I know, his voice broke. I know, Maria, but let me try. Reed snarled and lunged forward, shifting mid-stride. His body twisted, bones cracking, fur erupting from his skin. He landed as a massive black wolf, jaws snapping, aiming for Gavin's throat. Gavin shifted faster than I'd ever seen. One moment he was a man, the next he was a wolf of silver gray, his body slamming into Reed's, sending them both crashing through the doorframe and into the yard. The 6 wolves hesitated. They looked at me, at the twins huddled behind my legs, at the moonstone glittering on the floor. Please, I said, and my voice was raw, honest. I just want my children to be safe. That's all I've ever wanted. The silver-furred female dipped her head. We will not harm you, Luna. Luna, the title hit me like a physical blow. I hadn't been called that in 7 years. I'd stopped being Luna the moment Reed's claws had torn into my side. Outside, the sound of fighting continued, snarls and growls and the wet sound of teeth meeting flesh. I ran to the door, the twins pressed against my legs, and watched as Gavin and Reed fought under the blood moon's crimson light. Gavin was stronger, he'd always been stronger, but Reed was faster, more vicious, fighting dirty. He went for Gavin's legs, his belly, his throat. Blood matted Gavin's silver fur, turning it dark and wet. Mama, is the silver wolf my father? Leo asked, his voice small but steady. Yes, I whispered. Yes, he is. He's losing. I looked at my son, at the fierce set of his jaw, at the way he held his wooden stick like a weapon, and I felt my wolf surge against her chains, demanding release. 7 years. I had suppressed her for 7 years, denying my own nature to protect my children. But the blood moon was full, and my pups were in danger, and the father of my children was bleeding in the yard. Let me out, my wolf growled. Let me protect them. I dropped to my knees, the shift already beginning. My bones screamed as they realigned, my skin rippled, and for the first time in 7 years, I let my wolf take control. The shift was agony, it was ecstasy, it was coming home. I rose on 4 legs, my fur the color of autumn leaves, my eyes blazing amber. I was smaller than the males, leaner, built for speed and endurance. But I was an omega, and the blood moon was in my blood, and I had spent 7 years dreaming of this moment. I launched myself at Reed. He didn't see me coming. His jaws were locked on Gavin's shoulder, his claws raking Gavin's belly, and he was so focused on killing his brother that he forgot about me. I sank my teeth into his hind leg, felt bone crunch between my jaws. Reed yelped and twisted, releasing Gavin, turning to face me. His eyes were wild, crazy, the eyes of a wolf who had already lost but didn't know it. You, he snarled, the words barely intelligible through his wolf's throat. I should have killed you when I had the chance. You should have, I agreed, and my voice was my own, even in wolf form. But you didn't. And now I have 7 years of pain to repay. Gavin staggered to his feet, blood streaming from his wounds. He limped to stand beside me, his shoulder pressing against mine. Together, we faced Reed, 2 wolves against 1. Behind us, the 6 pack wolves had formed a loose circle. They weren't attacking, they were watching, waiting to see who would prevail. Reed looked at them, at the wolves who had followed him, at the moonstone glittering in the cabin doorway, at the 2 small figures huddled together, watching with wide gray eyes. He made a sound, low and defeated, and then he turned and ran. The pack wolves let him pass. They didn't chase. They simply watched him disappear into the forest, a dark shape swallowed by the blood moon's shadows. I collapsed, the shift reversing, leaving me gasping on the grass in human form. Gavin shifted beside me, his body torn and bleeding, his eyes finding mine. Maria, he breathed, don't. I held up a hand, my voice shaking. Don't say anything, not yet. Lily and Leo ran to me, their small bodies pressing against my sides, their arms wrapping around my neck. Mama, you were a wolf, Lily whispered, wonder in her voice. You were beautiful. I pulled them close, burying my face in their hair, breathing in their scent. Safe, they were safe. Gavin watched us, his face a mask of pain and longing. He didn't move closer, he didn't speak. He just waited, blood dripping from his wounds, hope and fear warring in his gray eyes. The blood moon hung overhead, watching everything, saying nothing. And I held my children, and I wondered if home was a place I could ever find again. If this story has your heart racing, hit subscribe and drop a comment below. I live for your reactions, and the next chapter is going to change everything. The blood moon hung above us like a wound in the sky, and I stood in the yard of my hidden cabin with Gavin's blood on my hands, his blood, my blood, 7 years of lies and silence all mixing together on the cold ground. I couldn't look at him, not yet. My body still trembled from the shift, from the agony of letting my wolf surface after 7 years of locking her away. She prowled beneath my skin now, restless and hungry for answers I wasn't ready to give. Mama, your eyes are yellow, Lily whispered, pressing herself against my leg. I looked down at my daughter, at her dark curls plastered to her forehead, at the fear and wonder mingling in her gray eyes. Gavin's eyes. I'd known it from the moment she was born, from the moment I'd held her tiny body in my hands and seen the storm-gray irises staring back at me. Mom's okay, Lily, Leo said, but his voice cracked. He stood in front of his sister, shoulders squared, facing the stranger who had appeared in our yard. My son, my protector. He had Gavin's stubborn chin, his hunting instincts, his fire. Gavin was on his knees in the grass, one hand pressed to the wound on his ribs where Reed's claws had torn through. The pack wolves had retreated to the tree line, watching, waiting. I could smell their uncertainty, their confusion. They had come to hunt an Omega thief and found a Luna instead. Maria, Gavin said, and my name on his lips was a wound of its own. Don't, I held up my hand. Don't you dare say my name like that, not after 7 years. He struggled to his feet, swaying. Blood dripped from his arm, his side, a gash on his cheek. He looked nothing like the proud alpha who had stood before the pack and announced my exile. He looked broken. I know I don't deserve to ask, he said, each word costing him, but let me explain, let me tell you what I found. You found the moonstone in Reed's quarters, I said flatly. I heard you. Congratulations, Alpha. You solved a 7-year mystery. I found it 3 months ago. His voice dropped. 3 months, Maria. I've been searching for you ever since. The words hit me like a physical blow. 3 months. He had known for 3 months that I was innocent, that Reed had framed me, that I had been carrying his children when I fled into the night, and he had only just now found me. 3 months, I repeated, and my voice was hollow. You knew for 3 months, and you couldn't find me until Reed led you here. I traced your scent to the ridge, he said. Lost it, found it again, lost it again. You were good, Maria. You hid your wolf so well I thought you were dead. I had to, my voice broke. I had to hide her because if I let her out, you would find me, and if you found me, you would take my children. Leo moved closer to me, his small hand finding mine. Mom, is he really? Yes, I said, and the word tasted like ash. He's your father. Lily started crying, soft, hiccuping sobs that she tried to muffle with her hands. I pulled her into my arms, holding her tight, feeling her small body shake against mine. I'm sorry, Gavin said, and his voice cracked. I'm so sorry, Lily. Leo. I didn't know you existed until tonight. Then why should we care? Leo's voice was fierce, angry. You weren't there, you never protected us. I protected Mom, I protected Lily. Where were you? The question hung in the air, sharp as a blade. Gavin's face crumpled. He looked at his son, at this small, fierce boy who had taken on the role of protector at 6 years old, and I saw tears fall down his cheeks. I was looking for you, he whispered. I was looking for all of you. A howl rose in the distance. Not Reed, I would know his scent, his sound for the rest of my life. This was different, lonely, searching. Gavin's head snapped toward the tree line. That's Marcus, he's calling for reinforcements. Then leave. I stepped backward, pulling Lily and Leo with me toward the cabin. Take your pack and go. We were fine before you came. We'll be fine after you leave. You won't be. Gavin's eyes met mine, and I saw the truth in them. Reed is still out there. He has allies, wolves who believed his lies for 7 years. He'll come back, Maria. He'll come back with more wolves, and he won't stop until you're dead and the twins are gone. Then I'll run again. My voice was steel. I've done it before. You can't run forever. He took a step toward me, then stopped when Leo growled. Let me protect you. Let me bring you home. The pack knows the truth now. They saw the moonstone. They heard Reed confess. The pack saw me as a thief for 7 years, I said. They hunted me. They would have killed me if I hadn't run. The silver-marked female called you Luna, Gavin said quietly. That means something. They remember you. I shook my head. I don't care what they remember. I care about my children. I care about keeping them safe. Then let me help you keep them safe. The howl came again, closer this time. Multiple voices joined it. Reed had found backup. Inside, I said to the twins, pushing them toward the cabin door. Now, Mama, Lily started. Now, Lily, they ran inside. I turned to face Gavin, standing between him and the door. I don't trust you, I said. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, but I need to get my children out of here before Reed comes back. There's a safe house, Gavin said quickly. North of here, 2 days' run. It's old pack territory, abandoned for years. No one knows about it except me. I found it when I was searching for you, and you expect me to believe that. He reached into his pocket, and I tensed, but he pulled out a folded piece of paper, worn and creased, and held it out to me. I found this in Reed's quarters, he said, along with the moonstone. I took the paper, unfolded it. My breath caught. It was a map. A detailed map of the territory north of the ridge, with markings showing patrol routes, hidden paths, and a small X at the coordinates of my cabin. He knew where I was, I whispered. All this time he knew. He must have tracked you years ago and kept it secret, Gavin said, waiting for the right moment to strike. The blood moon, it makes wolves reckless, stronger. He thought he could take you and the twins tonight and make it look like an accident. I looked at the map, at the X marking my home, my sanctuary. For 7 years, I had thought I was hidden. For 7 years, I had believed I was safe. And all along, Reed had known exactly where I was. How do I know this safe house isn't a trap? I asked. You don't, Gavin met my eyes, but I'll go with you. I'll walk in front of you. If it's a trap, I'll die first. The howls were getting closer. I could smell them now, the mingled scents of at least a dozen wolves, all heading toward the cabin. Get inside, I said to Gavin. We're leaving in 5 minutes. He nodded and moved toward the door. I caught his arm. If you try anything, if you try to take my children from me, I will kill you, Gavin. I don't care if you're their father. I don't care if you're the alpha. I will tear your throat out with my bare hands. Maria, he looked at me, and there was nothing but pain in his eyes. I spent 7 years looking for you. I tore my pack apart trying to find the truth. I fought my own brother for you. I'm not going to take your children. I'm going to help you save them. I let go of his arm. 5 minutes. We moved through the cabin like ghosts. I packed supplies, dried meat, water skins, blankets, a small knife for each of the twins. Lily grabbed her stuffed rabbit. Leo grabbed the hunting knife I had given him for his 6th birthday. Where are we going? Lily asked, her voice small. Somewhere safe, I said, kneeling in front of her. Somewhere Reed can't find us. Is he coming with us? Leo pointed at Gavin, who was standing by the door watching the tree line. I hesitated. Yes, for now. Why? I looked at my son, at his storm-gray eyes, his stubborn chin, his fierce protective stance. He deserved the truth, even if it hurt. Because he wants to protect us, I said, and because we need his help. Can we trust him? The question hung in the air. I looked at Gavin, at the blood still seeping through his shirt, at the desperation in his eyes. I don't know, I said honestly, but we don't have a choice. The howls were almost on top of us now. I could see shapes moving in the darkness beyond the tree line, shadows with glowing eyes and bared teeth. Now, Gavin said, his voice tight, we go now. I grabbed Lily's hand. Leo took mine. Gavin pushed open the back door and we ran. The forest swallowed us whole. Trees closed in around us, branches scraping our faces, roots tripping our feet. I kept Lily close, my wolf guiding me through the darkness. Leo ran beside me, faster than any 6-year-old should be able to run. Behind us, the howls grew louder, closer. They're on our trail, Gavin said, his voice barely a whisper. We need to lose them. There's a river half a mile east, I said. We can follow it north, throw off the scent. You know this territory. I've lived here for 7 years. I know every tree, every rock, every stream. We changed direction, cutting through a thicket of brambles. Lily whimpered as thorns tore at her arms, but she didn't stop. She didn't cry out, my brave girl, my brave, silent girl. The river appeared through the trees, a wide, fast-moving current that glittered silver in the moonlight. I didn't hesitate. I waded in, pulling Lily with me, feeling the cold water rise to my waist. Stay close, I said, keep moving. We followed the river for what felt like hours. The water numbed my legs, stole my breath, but I kept moving. Lily and Leo kept moving. Gavin kept moving. Finally, when the howls had faded to distant echoes, I pulled us onto the bank. We collapsed in the mud, shivering, gasping. We need to keep going, Gavin said, but his voice was weak. The wound on his side had opened again, and blood was mixing with the river water on his skin. You need to rest, I said. You'll bleed out if we keep moving. I'll bleed out if Reed catches us. He won't catch us. I looked at the twins, huddled together, teeth chattering. We need shelter just for a few hours. There's a cave, Gavin said, half a mile north. I marked it on the map. I helped him to his feet. Leo took his other side, and I saw my son look up at his father, really look at him for the first time. You're hurt bad, Leo said. I've been hurt worse, Gavin said, and he managed a small smile. I'll be fine. We found the cave just before dawn. It was small, hidden behind a waterfall of moss and rock. Inside, it was dry, safe. I laid the twins down on a bed of leaves and covered them with blankets. They were asleep before I finished tucking them in. Gavin sat against the cave wall, his eyes closed, his breathing shallow. You need to let me look at that wound, I said. Maria, he opened his eyes. I'm sorry. You said that already. I'll say it 1,000 times. His voice cracked. I should have believed you. I should have trusted you. I should have. Stop. I knelt beside him, tearing a strip of cloth from my shirt. Save your strength. We're not out of this yet. He watched me as I cleaned his wound, as I bound it tight. His hand found mine, and I didn't pull away. I found your drawings, he said quietly. In the cabin, Lily's drawings. She's talented. She gets it from her grandmother. Leo looks like me. He has your stubbornness. I have a son. He said the words like they were sacred. I have a daughter. I have a family, Maria, and I almost lost them before I even knew they existed. You still might, I said, but my voice was soft. Reed is still out there. I know. He squeezed my hand, but I'm not giving up, not now, not ever. I looked at him, at this man who had broken my heart, exiled me, condemned me to 7 years of hiding, and I saw something in his eyes that I hadn't seen in a long time. Hope. I can't promise you anything, I said. I can't promise forgiveness. I can't promise trust, but I can promise that I'll let you try. It's enough, he said. It's more than I deserve. Outside, the first light of dawn crept over the horizon. The blood moon had set. The world was quiet, and somewhere in the forest I knew Reed was waiting, watching, planning, but for the first time in 7 years, I wasn't running alone. The cave walls drip with dawn light when I wake to find Gavin's hand hovering near my face, not touching, just there, as if he's been watching me sleep. I flinch before I can stop myself. Sorry, he whispers, you were dreaming. I sit up, my back screaming from the stone floor. Lily and Leo are curled together near the cave mouth, their small chests rising and falling in sleep. The blood moon has set. Gray morning filters through the waterfall's curtain. How long did I sleep? I ask. 2 hours, maybe 3. Gavin's eyes are red-rimmed. He hasn't slept at all. The wound on his side is clean, but the skin around it is angry and swollen. Reed hasn't found us yet. Yet. He doesn't argue the word. I stand and stretch, feeling every year of the last 7 in my bones. My wolf stirs beneath my skin, restless now that she's been freed. She wants to run, she wants to hunt, she wants to find Reed and finish what we started. But first, we need to move. Wake them, I say. We need to reach the safe house before nightfall. Gavin nods and crouches beside the twins. Lily wakes first, her gray eyes finding her father's face before she remembers to be afraid. She looks at me and I nod. She relaxes just slightly. Leo wakes fighting. His fist connects with Gavin's jaw before he's fully conscious. Whoa, pup. Gavin catches his wrist, gentle. It's me. Leo's eyes focus. Where's Mom? Right here. I kneel beside them. We're leaving. Stay close to me. The journey takes us through terrain I've never crossed, rocky cliffs and dense pine forests that smell of old magic and older wolves. Gavin leads, his limp barely noticeable now. He knows these lands like his own heartbeat. By midday, we stop at a stream to drink. Lily splashes water on her face, and for a moment, she looks like any other child playing in the sun, not a fugitive, not a rogue. Mom, Leo sits beside me, his voice low. When we get to this safe house, what happens then? I don't have an answer. Gavin does. We build a life. He settles across from us, his gray eyes meeting mine. I'll step down as Alpha. We'll find somewhere far from Crescent Moon territory. Start over. No, the word leaves my mouth before I can think. Everyone freezes. You can't step down, I say slowly, the realization forming as I speak. If you do, Reed becomes Alpha. He'll hunt us forever. He'll have the entire pack behind him. Gavin's jaw tightens. I won't let him touch you. You won't have a choice if he's Alpha. I look at my children, their gray eyes, their stubborn chins, their father's blood running through their veins. The only way we're safe is if you reclaim your pack, if you destroy Reed completely. You want me to go back? I want my children to be safe. My voice cracks. I've spent 7 years hiding. I'm tired, Gavin. I'm so tired. Lily presses against my side. Leo stands between us, facing his father. Are you going to leave again? Leo asks, his voice fierce. Gavin's face crumbles. No, never. Promise. I promise, son. The word hangs between them, son. Leo's chin trembles, but he doesn't cry. He just nods once and sits back down. We reach the safe house at dusk. It's a cabin smaller than ours, half swallowed by ivy and time. But the roof is intact, the door solid, and when Gavin lights a fire in the hearth, the warmth chases away the chill that's been living in my bones for 7 years. The twins fall asleep within minutes, curled together on a bed of blankets Gavin found in a chest. I sit by the fire, watching the flames. Gavin sits across from me. I never stopped looking, he says quietly, even before I found the moonstone. I searched every rogue territory, every pack border, every whisper of an omega hiding in the wild. I made sure no one found me. I know. He stares into the fire. I dreamed about you every night. I dreamed you were alive, that you had our pups, that you were happy somewhere without me. I don't answer. I don't expect forgiveness, he continues. I don't deserve it, but I need you to know I would burn the entire world down to keep you and our children safe. I would kill Reed with my bare hands. I would. Stop. My voice is barely a whisper. I know. He looks at me, hope and fear warring in his eyes. I know you would, I say. I saw you fight for us. I saw you bleed for us. But knowing isn't the same as trusting, and trust takes time. How much time? As much as I need. I meet his gaze. And as much as you're willing to give. He nods, slow. I have nothing but time, Maria. I have nothing but you. The fire crackles. Outside, the wind howls. But inside, for the first time in 7 years, I feel something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. 3 days pass. Gavin hunts. I teach the twins to track. Lily draws pictures in the dirt with a stick, a house, a tree, 4 figures standing together. Leo practices throwing stones at a target I carved into a tree. On the 4th night, Reed finds us. I smell him before I see him, the rot of betrayal, the copper of old blood. I push the twins behind me and shift without thinking, my wolf surging forward with a snarl. Gavin is already in his wolf form, massive and gray, standing between me and the tree line. Reed emerges alone. He's limping, his hind leg still healing from where I bit him. His yellow eyes gleam in the firelight. Brother, he says, his voice a growl, I've come to offer you a choice. Gavin doesn't answer. Step down, give me the pack, and I'll let the Omega and her pups live. I snarl, low and dangerous. Gavin looks at me. Then at our children huddled behind me, then back at Reed. No, Reed's eyes narrow. You'd choose them over the pack. I'd choose them over everything. Gavin's voice is steel, and if you come near them again, I'll tear your throat out. Reed laughs a harsh sound. You can't protect them forever. I don't have to. Gavin steps forward. I just have to protect them tonight. The fight is brutal and fast. Reed attacks first, lunging for Gavin's throat. They collide in a tangle of fur and fangs, tearing at each other under the stars. I stay between the twins and the battle, ready to intervene if Reed breaks through, but Gavin is stronger. He pins Reed to the ground, jaws locked around his brother's throat. Reed struggles, claws raking Gavin's side, but Gavin doesn't let go. Do it, Reed gasps. Kill me. Prove you're no better than me. Gavin hesitates, and in that hesitation, I see the truth. Gavin doesn't want to be a killer. He wants to be a father, a mate, a good man. I step forward, still in wolf form, and place myself beside him. Let him go, I say through the bond we once shared. He's not worth your soul. Gavin looks at me, then at our children, watching with wide eyes. He releases Reed. Get out, Gavin growls. Leave this territory, never come back. If I see your face again, I won't hesitate. Reed staggers to his feet, blood matting his fur. He looks at me, at the twins, at Gavin. This isn't over. And then he disappears into the darkness. The next morning, we leave the safe house. Gavin leads us north, toward the mountains, toward a place he says no pack has ever claimed. We travel for a week, the twins riding on his back in wolf form, me running beside them. When we finally stop, it's in a valley that takes my breath away. A lake crystal clear, surrounded by wildflowers and ancient pines. A cabin half-built, waiting for hands to finish it. Land that smells of no wolf but ours. This is it, Gavin says, shifting back to human form. If you want it. I look at Lily splashing in the shallows, at Leo already exploring the tree line, at Gavin watching me with hope in his gray eyes. It's perfect, I say. He smiles, and for the first time in 7 years, I see the man I loved. We build the cabin together. Gavin teaches Leo to hunt. I teach Lily to track. At night, we sit by the fire, and Gavin tells the twins stories about the stars, about the old wolves, about the family they were born into. And slowly, piece by piece, I let him back in. It starts with small things, his hand brushing mine as we pass, his laugh when Leo tells a joke, the way he looks at me when he thinks I'm not watching. One night, as the twins sleep, he takes my hand. I love you, Maria, he says. I never stopped. I look at our children, safe and warm. I look at the home we've built. I look at the man who crossed mountains and years and his own pride to find us. I know, I whisper. I'm starting to remember what that feels like. He kisses me soft and slow, and for the first time in 7 years, I let myself believe in tomorrow. Years pass. The twins grow tall and strong, their gray eyes bright with laughter. Lily paints the cabin walls with murals of wolves and moons. Leo becomes the best hunter in the valley, patient and fierce. And me, I learn to trust again, to love again. To be loved, Gavin never becomes alpha again. He doesn't need to. He's the alpha of our small pack, me, Lily, Leo, and the life we've built together. Sometimes at night, I still dream of running, of hiding, of the blood moon and the fear. But then I wake to Gavin's arm around me, to the sound of our children's laughter, to the warmth of a home that's finally, truly ours. And I know I would run 1,000 miles, hide for 1,000 years, fight 1,000 battles just to end up here, in his arms, with our family whole. Thank you for reading Maria's story. If you felt every heartbeat, every howl, every tear and triumph, share this tale with someone who needs to believe in second chances. Subscribe for more stories of love, loss, and the wolves that carry us home.